Thank you for staying with us on Y254 News. And tonight we're talking about health laws. And with me in studio is lawyer Julu Okadia. He's going to be helping us understand all these laws, legal procedures that are there as far as organ donation is concerned. You can talk to us on Y254 channel, hashtag Y254 News. You can also talk to us on Facebook at Y254 channel. And you can also reach me at Patricia Muriuki. So thank you very much for finding time to be with us tonight. And my first question to you would be, what does the law stipulate on body tissue and body organ donation for people out there who don't have any idea?
No, well, essentially, I think the starting point should be the question as to whether there is property in a human body. Well, I think it will be very ironical for someone to be told that you don't own your own body. But the law looks at the question of whether there is property in the same. Now, when it comes to current regulations that we have in our country, there's about 4 sets of laws which are applicable. The first one is the Human Tissue Act. And then you have the Anatomy Act. And then you have the Health Act. And then you have the National Coronal Service Act. So these 4 laws stipulate the conditions under which one can donate the body organ. And at this particular point, I think the point in reference is not when someone is alive, but when dead.
Yeah.
The other set of laws that come about is the Penal Code. Section 275 of the Penal Code indicates that it's an offense for someone to deal in the properties, in the body parts of an individual, when that particular person lacks authority to do so. So essentially, generally under the law, there's no property in the human body. However, there are certain instances where an individual can be allowed to say that they actually own that particular body part. Yes.
So with people thinking that it is good for these laws to be there because these are things that have been put down and they are laws that are supposed to be followed. Of what importance are these laws to people, to the citizens of this country?
Well, law essentially, there's normally a debate whether law and morality are one and the same or not. And in certain quarters, law and morality can be divergent, but in certain aspects they come together. Now, in this particular question, one of them, morality is key in this particular aspect because it will be against morality for someone to actually deal in someone's body parts contrary to the law, because it's not something that's expected. And our culture does not expect that. Like, for instance, if you have been observant, when someone passes on, and we get to body viewing, we only get to see the face of the person because ordinarily, according to our culture, we expect that everything else is intact. So we never really question whether
something
the heart is
might
there.
have been done.
Oh yes, we only get to see the face. So it's a question of ignorance and it's a question of culture as well. That these two do not really occasion the citizenry the opportunity to question, because one, they do not know the law, and then two, because of culture, the expectation and morality as well. So we never really get to question. But the moment we come alive to these laws, then there's a sense in which order is restored. Now, it will be very interesting. Like, I think what has been highlighted before is the question of undertakers who are rogue, or people who tend to deal with the buried people's property. That exhumation under the law should be by a court order. And anything done contrary to a court order is illegal. So there's a way in which the law comes about to restore sanity in the community, in our society, and maintain the moral code that we adhere to. So that is why these particular laws are important.
Okay, there has been currently a case ongoing in court whereby a family wants the organ of their late father given back to them before he's buried. Now, when we talk about people, someone has gone ahead and taken someone and done like organ harvesting, and the parents or the family or the relatives of this of the person who was passed on did not authorize anything, or the person had not authorized it on their will. What can be done to the person involved?
Now, under the Health Act, that is Part 11 of the Health Act, from Section 83, stipulates situations under which one can actually donate. And you find that most of these people are medical practitioners. Now, that is why we have the National Coronal Service Act coming to play. Because under the National Coronal Service Act, we have certain people who have been identified, who have the authority to deal with these particular organs. Now, the first thing that you need to ascertain is whether the person dealing in these body organs is actually listed under that particular act. Secondly, as regards the Health Act that I've mentioned, Part 11, stipulates the circumstances under which and the manner in which someone who is alive or ill wishes to donate the body parts. Now, the first thing is you must ensure that there are two witnesses present at the time of either by way of writing
or orally,
okay, or nomination of a person who is going to undertake that body part is going to be given to that medical practitioner. Now, two witnesses. Then the second thing, of course, there shouldn't be coercion and all that. Then it should be in the presence of a medical practitioner. And that's why you need to look at the National Coroner Service Act to determine the position. And then three, you have the Anatomy Act, which also correlates to this the provision of the Health Act, that there should be a person. And if that particular individual so wish to put it in the will, then the executor of the will should ensure that that particular body organ which has been donated is actually left to the medical practitioner. Yes.
So are there limits? Are there limits whereby a donor might be told you cannot donate as much as you're willing to donate your organ, even probably after death?
Because remember earlier on we started with the question whether someone actually is in a position to own their body. Now, when it comes to the will, the law normally says that the will be followed accordingly to the best extent that the executors can to meet the wishes of the deceased. Now, remember at that particular point, when someone dies, there are two rights at play. One of the rights is the rights of the dead person. The other right is the right of the people who are alive related to him, because they also have mourning rights. Now, you need to balance the two, so that to the extent that if they so think that it's not justified, or there are certain circumstances which led to that decision by the deceased person to donate certain body organs, which was not right in accordance with them, then they can challenge that particular will or that decision. Yes. So, but as regard if the family members or the relatives of the deceased person are not in contradiction with whatever was stated in the will, then that particular deceased person can issue as many body parts. In fact, one can actually donate the entire body. Let's play a clip whereby the Nairobi women rep, that is Esther Pasharis, is pledging to donate eyes after a death and encouraging citizens to make sure that they do the same.
The law that we need to change. I mean, for me, you know, today I think there's something else that I really need us to talk about. Donations of our eyes. Yes. We all know that we're going to die, okay? And we all who are standing here have good eyes that are seeing, all right? I mean, I, for one, I'm going to pledge my eyes when I die to somebody who cannot see, all right? So I'm going to make that pledge so that when I die, within 6 hours, they can get my eyes and give them to somebody who doesn't have sight, who can actually benefit from that. All right, we have over 200,000 Kenyans that are walking blind that can benefit from our donations. And it's a simple thing. And then, you know, people say, oh, so you'll have these sockets already out, and then what? Everybody who's died, we always put the eyes down, and then they have a way that they fill in the sockets, you know, and then it looks the same, but somebody else benefits. So I want to actually, from my office, promote that as a person, so that we can make sure that at least 200,000 people, if we all donate our eyes when we're dead, that's 200,000 people can actually have the chance of seeing the world when you've exited, you know, because we're going to die. Why put them in the grave when they can actually serve another human being? So that's something that I'm actually going to champion.
That is the Nairobi women rep talking about how people should be we should like create awareness and make people like fight the need to like donate their organs. So do you think that the society, should we now create time and make sure that we educate the society, because we have culture and we have religion that does not really go hand in hand with whatever whatever people may bring as far as organ donation is concerned. So do you think that we should educate the society and create more awareness on the importance of organ donation after a loved one or after a person has passed on?
I think I'll go back to my earlier statement, where I think part of the reason as to why we have this theft of body parts, and it's a booming business actually, the legal trade of body parts, it's because of ignorance. A good number of people do not know the provisions of the law, and we have anatomical school, okay, where cadavers can be donated for purposes of research, for purposes of anatomical examination. We have medical students that we should encourage for purposes of improving on our health sciences. And that is why part of the Health Act actually stipulates that body parts should be donated for purposes of this improvement of the anatomical school, so that we can improve on our capacity as a country. And I think it will be actually in good sense what the Honorable Women Representative stated. If more and more people can do that, then I think we can improve on the same.
Okay.
Because the reason as to why we have these anatomy schools is for purposes of that. Research will be done, and the donation should be done in a proper manner.
Okay. In our last question for tonight, in the process of organ harvesting, if something happens to the person donating the organ, or if something happens to that organ, who can be sued? Who is the person that people can sue? Is it the hospital or is it the doctor?
Now, remember that according to the Health Act and all these provisions, you're looking at the medical practitioner. And that is why under the Human Tissue Act and Anatomy Act, there is a responsibility or mandate by the medical practitioners and dentist practitioners board to look into the affairs and conduct of their own members.
Okay.
So if a doctor is meant to handle that particular body organ in a manner that is in the wishes of the donor, which is contrary, if the medical practitioner handles it in a contrary manner, then he or she is actually liable as per the penal code. And that's why it's also part of the penal code. Criminal justice system comes about. And if you can recall, that is why the DPP had the former government pathologists arraigned in court for purposes of being charged with stealing of body parts.
Yeah.
So if you know of or you think that that particular medical practitioner did not act in accordance, then you can sue the medical practitioner and by extension the hospital. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for really finding time to come and shed light on such things, because these are delicate things that probably people don't talk about in the society. But speaking of organ donation, this is an act whereby you can get to save someone's life. You can also help people who are learning to become doctors to have something to always go for with their experiments. So that is all we had for you tonight on Y254 News. Thank you for joining us. My name is Patricia Morioki.